There is a belief that almost everyone starts with when they begin trying to improve their financial life. It sounds logical. It feels correct. And for a long time, it seems like the answer. The belief is simple. If I can just increase my income, everything else will take care of itself. So people focus on earning more. They chase promotions. They switch careers. They take on extra hours. They build side income streams. And at first, it works. More money comes in. Life feels easier. There's less immediate pressure. And for a moment, it feels like progress. But then something unexpected happens. The progress stalls. Not because income stopped increasing, but because income by itself was never the solution. It was just a temporary relief. And relief can feel like progress, even when nothing fundamentally changes. This is where most people get stuck, because they confuse a higher income with a stronger financial position. But those two things are not the same. Income is what you earn. Wealth is what you keep, grow, and control. And you can increase one without meaningfully improving the other. That's the disconnect. Now imagine someone earning a high income. From the outside, they look successful. They have access to better things. They have more options in the short term. They appear to be ahead. But internally, their financial structure hasn't changed. Their expenses rise with their income. Their commitments expand. Their lifestyle adjusts upward. And over time, they become dependent on maintaining that level of income, which means their freedom doesn't increase, their obligation does. Now contrast that with someone earning less, but structuring their money differently. They intentionally create separation between what they earn and what they spend. They direct that separation into things that grow. And over time, those decisions compound. Not immediately, not dramatically, but consistently, until eventually the difference becomes undeniable. And this is where the illusion breaks. Because the person earning less can end up in a stronger financial position than the person earning more. Not because they worked harder, but because they operated differently. This is the part most people never fully understand. Income is a tool, not a solution. And, like any tool, its effectiveness depends entirely on how it's used. Now let's go deeper. There are 3 levels of financial behavior, and most people never move past the first. Level 1 is consumption. Money comes in, and it goes out. Everything is used to support current lifestyle. There's little to no accumulation, and progress is limited. Level 2 is preservation. Money comes in, and some of it is kept. Savings begin to form. There's stability, there's security, but growth is still limited because the money isn't being used to produce more. Now, level 3 is multiplication. Money comes in, a portion is kept, and then that portion is put into something that has the ability to grow. And this is where everything changes. Because now, your financial life is no longer dependent on input alone. It begins to generate output. And output creates leverage. Leverage reduces effort. Leverage creates scalability. Leverage is what separates income from wealth. Now here's where it becomes uncomfortable. Moving from consumption to preservation is relatively easy. But moving from preservation to multiplication requires a different mindset entirely. Because it involves uncertainty. It involves delayed gratification. It involves making decisions that don't produce immediate visible results. And that's where most people stop. They reach stability and stay there. Not because they don't want more, but because the next step feels unclear, or risky, or unnecessary. But staying there has a hidden cost. Because while your money is sitting, time is moving. Opportunities are passing. Growth is being delayed. And delay compounds just like growth does. Now let's look at another layer. High income without structure creates fragility. Because everything depends on continuity. If the income slows down, everything feels it. If something changes, everything is affected. But structured wealth creates resilience. Because not everything depends on one source. Not everything requires constant effort. There are layers. There are systems. There are multiple points of support. And that changes how you experience money entirely. Now, instead of constantly needing to earn more, you begin to need less. Because part of what you've built starts contributing back to you. And that contribution grows. Not instantly, but steadily. Now here's where most people underestimate the process. They think the goal is to reach a certain number, a certain income level, a certain milestone. But the real goal is to change the system. Because once the system is right, the numbers eventually follow. Every time. Now let's make this practical. Imagine two people over a 10-year period. Both increase their income. Both work consistently. Both make similar amounts. But one focuses only on earning, while the other focuses on building. At the beginning, they look similar. Year 1, year 2, even year 3. But by year 5, subtle differences begin to appear. By year 7, those differences become noticeable. And by year 10, they are living completely different realities. One is still dependent, still maintaining, still tied to income. The other has built something that contributes, something that reduces pressure, something that creates options. And the gap between them continues to widen. Because one path compounds effort while the other compounds results. And results will always outpace effort over time. Now let's go even deeper. Income is active. Wealth is structural. Income requires participation. Wealth creates independence. Income is temporary. Wealth is persistent. And once you understand that distinction clearly, your priorities begin to shift. You stop asking how to earn more and start asking how to build more, how to keep more, how to multiply more, because that's where the real transformation happens. Not in the moment you earn, but in the decisions you make after. And those decisions don't have to be perfect. They just have to be consistent. Because consistency, over time, becomes inevitability. And inevitability is where real wealth is built. Quietly, gradually, without needing constant attention. Now here's the final layer. The reason income alone will never make you rich is because it was never designed to. It was designed to sustain, to support, to provide, but not to create independence on its own. That requires something else: structure, direction, intentional use. And once you combine those with income, everything changes. Because now, money isn't just something you earn. It's something you build with. And building is what creates lasting results. Not moments, not spikes, but systems. And systems are what create freedom. And if you're serious about building that kind of system, about moving beyond income and into real compounding wealth, subscribe to Smart Money Compounds, because this series is designed to help you make that shift step by step and build something that actually lasts.